Welcome back to another edition of our Design League playthroughs, and this one's from Rayzor, a guy who is newer to the community but certainly starting to make a name for himself. He's had two really good courses recently with Pronghorn Run and Lost Trail, I think, both of which have made their mark on quite a lot of more experienced designers with how good the planting is, as well as just playing really well. You can see from just the flyovers that we're doing that everything looks really cohesive. It's one really cool environment. Bunkering also looks great, and you can tell just by the waterside planting, this is really polished. So eager to give this one a run and see if I can get you any feedback. I mean, that's a really cool little way of doing your water height transition, which is a pain to do. So yeah, let's leap in. Alright, so this one, we've had a couple with these joined fairways, and here I think it makes more sense than most that I've seen, in that you've got holes going in opposite directions but sharing a fairway, and this sort of style of course makes a lot of sense. And you're equally not sharing the landing zone because you do have trees going between them. It's just what your meaning is that you don't necessarily need to use planting all the way through. So yeah, clever move here. Grass planting here is awesome. I might have liked a little less of a green one to blend in with this as well, given the slightly browner soil. But I think the way you've done it looks really good. Just that neon green one's always looked a little tacky to me on its own. Tacky is the wrong word. Just stark. I do like that you've given us a little heavy rough path through. Don't really mind the planting encroaching on it. Rocks look good, they fit, they make a lot of sense naturally. And tree line looks really good as well. This little cluster and the opening here is subtly very good. As for tee shot itself, I mean, it's a nice straightforward, just if you hit driver you get the distance advantage, if you lay back you're hitting a longer shot. And if we lay back, we're trying to make sure we really make that flatter plateau and not run out left, which is good. And even laying up, that's going to be a problem. I'm inching myself into taking driver. Our first swing of the morning. That is better than I expected. It's not good enough, but better. Okay, I will say, I think bunker sculpting, if let's see, let's get a chip so we can go closer. Bunker sculpting I think can be better. Like, I'd be dropping this sand lower, and I mean, this is a pain. I reckon the stage you're at, where you've got your bunkers looking decent off the tee, you've got high side, low side sorted. I think this is now the stage where I'd go to raise tool rather than flatten within the bunkers. Take your fuzzy brush and start doing it by eye, because I think generally you get better results. But as you can see, there's just a little bit of a bump in front of me where it's a bit high, and then it's very flat here, and then it raises up pretty sharply. And you can, someone who's doing sculpting as good as this, I think you can get your bunker. Well, these ones look good. Maybe it's just that one. Slightly surprised the green is flowing this way, given that you've got a big fall off down here, but I'm just looking over to the right and the land dips down here as well. So I guess, yeah, that makes sense. Don't know why that surprises me. Green slopes are great. Like, I've commented on green slopes a lot during these playthroughs, and here's a really good example of, you've got 4 distinct pin positions, so 1, 2, 3, 4 I would say, but you also have a lot of little slopes that add interest, like these 2 kicker slopes that are going to push a slightly errant shot back towards. You'll funnel down to this one. Those of you who've watched these playthroughs will know I'm not a huge fan of this sort of running into heavy rough, and I do think your spline work could be cleaned up a little bit. You can see that the path gets a little janky here, rather than that smoother transitions. Those bunkers look so good though. Right, shut up and hit a shot, Ben. Bunker to bunker. Knew I needed a bit more. Oh, damn. Really nice first hole though, and loved the little bits of planting, yeah, just here that you see on these. Yeah, you've taken time to pop little bits of grass and nice coloured plants in there, that works really well. This is a showstopper. Good use of the water just to fill empty space. Works really nicely, and I've commented on some others. I think I am. I know I often talk about use water where you can to kind of bank a hole into it or whatever, but equally sometimes it's really nice just to have it crossing naturally. Just as a visual, I think this one does it beautifully. I don't know if this is enough. And I think that's too much. We do have a backstop, so... Well, certainly not enough doing that. Oh, and it's going to be a very long putt. I also like that you've banked it into a hillside and then planted that hillside pretty densely so it gets that sort of enclosed, but you're then letting light through with how you haven't planted here. Just a lot of very clever, simple decisions that you've taken. Ah, two in a row. Irritating. Trying to find other things to critique, but I'm not going to critique stuff that's not there. I think it's just really good. The only thing I'd say is that just that grass colours that I think we can switch up a little. I like this, like subtle, slight hogs back where it's pushing you left and right. So if you hit driver, you've got to be hitting dead centre. It looks really good as well. Oh. I'm just taking myself out of some of these approach shots, unfortunately. Shame. I'd have, as ever with par 5s, I'd really like to hit the approach here. I mean, let's just go and investigate all parts of this course. Yeah, I think this bunker is kind of fighting high side, low side. Be dropping this finger down a touch. You can see that the sculpting there is not as good as some of the other parts. But that's a trickier one to come up with. Again, even if I'm recovering from miles off, you've still given me slopes to help. Let's see if we can make something of them. Oh, didn't quite go up enough, but still somehow I have a birdie putt in spite of two of the worst shots you'll see. And of course we miss it. But yeah, another really solid hole. So we've got another great looking par 3. I guess if we're being critical, we've kind of used the river the same way on both par 3s and you've crossed it on two par 3s rather than maybe it would be nice to run one alongside it or bank it into the river a bit more. So like imagine having a hole going up here where you're pushing ball towards or to right rather than like it looks really good, but we have essentially used it as a framing tool twice. Planting is phenomenal, looks really good, can see why this was your published photo. And as a long par 3, I do like that you've given us one big helping slope. There's a lot of green to work with. I feel like front pins are maybe a touch tight. Like landing it to here is going to be very tricky. This is your friendliest pin on the green by a mile because you've got so much space to work with vertically. You can land it short. Anywhere in and around here is going to be a good shot. Whereas to this one, you're demanding far more precision on a 200 odd yard shot, and because of the fall off front right, we can't really land it there. I think philosophically, a long par 3 should be trying to design as if it's the easiest par 3 you're going to make, and the difficulty really comes from the fact that you're swinging a longer club and therefore have less control over distance. Let's see how we do with that. That's another awful shot. We do not have tempo with us this morning. Like I say, I think this pin works well. I would be slightly worried about some of the other pins on this screen. And like, it'll be playable for sure. How many putts are we going to miss low today? This is no indication on the course. I'm just playing awfully. Difficulty is good. Alright, and a 4 and a 5 to finish with. Okay, so with my big miss left in play, this water is certainly in play. I might consider moving the green a little bit further towards this side, but it's absolutely not a must. And I love your use of the green spine here to allow us a way to get back to this pin. Now, I would like to see fairway a bit shorter, just as a layup zone. I feel like my options are basically hit 5 wood, 3 wood's a bit more dicey, or go at the green. It would be nice to have a little bit more of a very safe layup, because I would like to have that as an option of taking out all the bunkers, but it's a very short hole, so it's not a must. Certainly not a deal breaker. I'm definitely not going for this, I don't think. We could, we do need a shot back. The thing is, I'm looking at the layup and I'm thinking I'm still taking the water in because I'd like a little bit more fairway out here. Let's go for this. Just, I think, allow the ultra safe option. Allowing that never ever hurts. Hey, might actually make something. Because it's quite nice to allow people to play a hole like that, but even safer, and particularly to lay back to a full wedge. Yeah, Smish's bunker sculpting again. I missed it. I just think your bunkers generally look really good, but when you get up close, you could polish them up a little more. There's a spot here that you can sink a bit. Yeah, I think that'd be my main thing. And we finish with a par 5. Excellent, good green, banked into a hillside. Let's go find another bunker. What a shame, another par 3, 5 green I've wasted. I think there's a few of these green slopes that are kind of fighting each other. So you've got your generally I think you'd want to decide whether this is going front to back or back to front. So in the middle we've got a little bit of both, and you've got this sort of swale where it's all collecting here. You can see all the beads are pointing inwards. Now, it's not a major thing by any means, but I think generally your greens will play better if you can try to get all of the beads to run off the green at some point, because it means that the ball is going to be constantly moving, rather than you'll see a lot of balls ending up in this exact spot and leaving the same sort of putt, because everything drags towards this one area. And even punch bowls generally, the green will feed off at some point. Otherwise, I like it. That's pretty awful, but that'll do alright. Well, finishing +1 on that is frankly surprising. Really enjoyed it. I mean, there's not much not to like. I think you had a really good mix of holes. I'd have liked to see your par 3s a little more varied, perhaps. Short 4 I'd have tweaked in terms of your layup zones. It's a shame I didn't really get to play either par 5 properly. I'll be back to give those another go with better tempo. Visuals outstanding. Yeah, should be a really strong contender. Best of luck.